All right, so let's go ahead and get a quick review of what we did last time. So each one of these is going to be one of those 4 characteristics for each of those pictures. First one is a baby. Which of those characteristics is it? Well, the baby would be population age, and that one would actually be pre-reproductive. I've got geese flying together in a flock. This one is population spacing. And in that case, clumped. This is the key here. Population per square mile per state. In other words, how many people live per area in a state? This one is a map that actually shows population density. The number of deer in Pennsylvania, just the number, is going to be straight up population size. Make sure that you're watching the videos, guys. There are certain things that are going to cause populations to change. We call those pressures. Population growth can only be so much. There are 4 factors that influence population change. This is super, 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 super important. So much so that I highlighted it. It should be highlighted in your notes. If it's not, you need to. Population change is equal to birth, how many organisms are being born, plus immigration. Immigration means to move into the area where other things are, minus death, to die, whether it's natural or being eaten or something, plus emigration. Emigration means to leave the area. If an area is not having enough food for deer, the deer will move to another area. That's emigration. Here's a sample problem. There are 85 brown trout, 120 brook trout, 76 rainbow trout in Bell's Run. 15 brown swim down into the Little Juniata River. Fishermen catch 25 brown trout and eat them. The Sportsman's Club then stocks 100 brown trout. What is the current population of brown trout? Well, you only take into account, this is going to be only the brown trout. So we're starting with 85. 15 leave, so you have 85 minus 15. That takes you down to 70, correct?
No.
Fishermen catch 25 of them. That takes you down to 45. And then we add 100 more. Your total number in that problem is 145 fish left in the stream, brown trout. Growth of a population. How can we make that population increase? Immigration is movement of organisms into a population. Organisms move into an area because of better resources. Excuse me. Birth actually adds more organisms too. Birth plus immigration can stabilize a declining population. The decline of a population. Emigration. If things are not good there, organisms will leave. This can be humans too. The reason that most Americans are here is because they didn't like everything that was going on in Europe, and we emigrated out of Europe and immigrated into America. Death takes organisms out of the population as well. Limiting factors are things that are going to prevent the continued growth. Usually this is the amount of sunlight, the amount of water, can be predators. There's all different kinds of things that are going to limit population growth. There are 2 types of limiting factors. Abiotic. When you see the A in front of something in science, A means not. So abiotic are not living factors. Abiotic factors are going to be air, water, soil, temperature, rainfall. Biotic factors are living things, trees, plants, things that are predators, things that are prey animals. It can be bacteria that are decomposers. It can be mushrooms that are decomposers. A common biotic factor is whatever plant that an organism needs to survive, to eat. So the amount of food in an organism's environment is a limiting factor. Is it abiotic or biotic? Abiotic, one finger, biotic, two. Bi meaning two usually. In this case, bio means life. That is soil. Is soil abiotic or biotic? Soil is abiotic. That is a worm. Worms are alive, so it is biotic. Water, living or not living? Water is not living, it is abiotic, but it is important for all living things to have. An acorn, biotic or abiotic? Acorns are biotic. They're living and they produce oak trees. Sunlight, abiotic or biotic? Sunlight is not living, it's abiotic. Oh, mushrooms, biotic or abiotic? Mushrooms are biotic. They are living, they are decomposing dead stuff. There are two types of limiting factors. The first limiting factor that we're going to talk about is a density-dependent limiting factor. As organisms' density gets high, these factors are more common. This is very important in the time that we're learning about the COVID-19. The higher the population density of humans in an area, the more prevalent the coronavirus has been. China has a very, very high population and had a really hard time with it. Boston, New York City, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Seattle, Washington had very high populations and had a very hard time dealing with the coronavirus. The more people in a small area, the more chances of that organism being submitted. So also, when there's a very high population density, when there's a lot of deer, there's a lot of deer in competition for the deer's food. Could be corn, could be grass, whatever. Disease. A big thing in Pennsylvania right now is the chronic wasting disease. As the Pennsylvania deer population has hit a higher population, so disease, the more dense they are populated, like the deer in Pennsylvania, the more rates of disease transmission because there's more organisms coming in contact with each other. The big one that's going on right now is this chronic wasting disease. Also, you'll have a higher rate of parasitism. This is the time of year where if you go walking in the woods, you need to check yourself. Why? Because Pennsylvania has a very high tick population. There are deer ticks and there's several other different types of ticks. All of those parasites can also carry disease as well. And when the deer population goes up, the amount of predators will also go up. As the fawns are being born, the coyotes, the bears, and things that are going to try and kill them become much more prevalent in the area. So this talks about density-dependent factors in that video. Density-independent factors are a little easier. Density-independent factors affect everything, whether there's a high amount of density or a low amount. They're usually weather or catastrophes. So it could be a really bad blizzard, or it could be a really bad drought. A hurricane. A hurricane doesn't care if there's 7,000 trees there or 3 trees. When that hurricane blows through, it just knocks everything down in its path. Floods, tornadoes, all of these things are going to be involved. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to the end of our limiting factors and population pressures. Make sure that you're watching the little videos at home. Make sure that you're doing the reading and getting your worksheet done. I'll catch you next time.